Oh my gosh, have you ever tried to decipher the Morse code that's on the package of a fountain pump before? GPH and max lift and max head and all these crazy voltages and wattages, and like, what does any of this stuff mean? Stay tuned for the rest of this video if you're wondering, because that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I recently purchased a solar fountain pump to replace an electric fountain pump for my DIY pondless water feature in my backyard, and I was trying to find an equivalent version of one or the other, and I was like, what the heck is going on here? Really confusing. So I thought I'd break it all down for you since I've already gone through the trouble of learning all this stuff. My name is Amy. I'm from prettypurpledoor.com, and I help home gardeners create landscapes that are uniquely you. And part of that for a lot of people is an awesome water feature for your backyard. So if you want to check out my video for making your own water feature, I'll leave a link to it in the description below. So what are all of these measurements, and what size pump do you need, and what stuff doesn't matter on the back of the package? First, let's just say that the gallons per hour, the GPH, the head height or the max head, the max lift, and the cord are the most important. So let's talk a little bit about each of these, and so that you can better understand actually what you need to buy. So the first one is the GPH, the gallons per hour. And this is basically how much water the pump will circulate in 1 hour. How many gallons of water will it circulate in 1 hour? And it seems easy enough, but what kind of circulation does water in a pond or in a basin need? Well, it needs to be circulated about once per hour. So this is actually a really easy measurement. You just figure out how big is the basin that you're filling for your fountain, or how big is the pond, how many gallons are in the pond that you're trying to run the pump from. And just find a pump that has the same GPH or a greater GPH, gallons per hour, than what you're trying to pump. So if you have a really small pump, so my basin is tiny, it's only maybe 10 or 15 gallons tops, so I really only need 10 or 15 GPH. And my solar pump is 120 GPH, so it can be way over the amount that you need. That's not necessarily a problem. There's diverters that you can buy to sort of change the strength that it's coming out and things like that. And if you want to see a little experiment that I did, I'll leave a link to another video that I made that is actually showing the difference in my solar pump versus my electric pump. And the gallons per hour, the GPH on the two, is about 100 gallons per hour difference. So you can actually see in that video the solar is about half strength. So that's like this is the most important measurement, the GPH, I'd say, after doing that experiment, because with everything else being just about equivalent, it really did throw about half the power as the electric pump that was 100 GPH more. So GPH, biggest thing, most important. So the next measurement that you're going to want to take a look at, it's probably going to say on the pump the max head or head height. Usually it says max head, and the max head would be the maximum distance from the top of the water, not from the pump, but from the top of the water where the pump comes. So say the water levels to here, the max head would be the distance from here to where your water is coming out of the fountain, right? So in most cases, it's pretty simple. I mean, like if you have a fountain like this and the water level is here, we have about a foot. So you would only need a max head of over 1, because max is maximum. So you need that measurement of max head to be higher than the distance. Where it gets a little bit trickier though is if your fountain is not just a vertical shooting straight up fountain. So an example of that would be if you have a pond at the bottom of a water feature and then maybe a river that's running down, and so the water is cascading down the river into this pond basin at the bottom. So in a situation like that, the pump would be in the pond at the bottom, and then you'd probably have to take some sort of tubing and run that from the pump all the way up the top of the hill to the top of your river, and then that's where the water would shoot out. So what do you do in that scenario where you're not just doing a completely vertical pump? That's where that max head comes in. So they say that the distance that you would measure is basically, even if your water is not coming straight up, even if it's coming from over here, what is that vertical height? So if you were to draw an imaginary line from where the top of your river or water feature is, all the way across the air to right directly above the pump, what is that height? So that's your first measurement, and you would take that measurement. So let's say it's 5 feet. It's 5 feet from the top of the water to the invisible line that would be the vertical. The next measurement that you need, so you have 5 feet vertical height, then you need the horizontal or diagonal distance from the top of the water to the actual top of the river where the water's coming out. So say your river is 20 feet long, and this is pretty big, so I would imagine this isn't going to be a big issue for most of you that are doing this as like a backyard project. But if you have a 20-foot river and it's about 5 feet in the air from the top of the water level that your pump is going to be sitting in, first we have the max head of 5 feet, and then we have that extra 20 feet. So does that make it 25 feet max head that we need? No, it doesn't. They make it more confusing than that, everyone. So what the actual measurement is, that horizontal or diagonal measurement, whatever you get, the 20 feet, you divide that by 10, 1/10 of that. So in the scenario where I'm talking about, we have the 5-foot vertical height and then a 20-foot diagonal distance. That 20 feet divided by 10 translates into 2 feet. So 2 feet plus the 5 for the vertical gives us 7 feet. So you would need a pump that had a max head of maybe 10 or something like that. I would go a little higher than even that 10 measurement, because that seems, I don't know, it seems a little risque to do that, but that's what they want you to think will work. Okay, so the third important measurement, super important, but it seems silly and it's like not something you're gonna think about, so you're gonna laugh, but it's the cord length, the length of the cord. So if you're using an electric pump, how far does the cord go from the pump to, is it going to reach the outlet that you have to plug it into, and how deep is your pond? So make sure you're measuring from the center of your pond up the 4 feet of the depth of your pond and then all the way over. So you could use an extension cord, usually it's not a big deal. But for a solar pump, they also have a cord. They actually have a cord that goes from the solar panel here and it connects to the pump, and then that runs. So how far away do you need that cord to be? What's the cord length that you need to go from where your water pump is sitting to the actual place where the solar panel will be? So just think about that, because if you're putting the water feature in the corner of your yard, a nice shady corner of your yard, but there's no sun there and you want to do solar, you're going to have to put the solar panel into the sun. So how far of a distance are you going to need for that cord length? So either make sure that you're checking that ahead of time, or make sure that you buy a pump that has the option for an extension cord. And I only mention this because the solar pump, it's from EcoWorthy, and it's got this weird goofy connector on it. So this isn't a regular outlet that you can actually just plug in. You'd need this same connector, and when I looked it up online, it's like you have to like make it yourself by twisting the wires together and all sorts of crazy stuff. But EcoWorthy actually has its own extension cable. You can purchase another 16-foot length to make it 32 feet. So just keep that cord length in mind too, because you don't want to be cut short a little bit. So, okay, so those are the three important: the GPH, the gallons per hour, the max head or the head height, and also obviously the cord length. There's some other measurements that aren't as important. They're there, but they're not as important. The first is the voltage, which if you're just doing a backyard, a small to medium sized fountain, the voltage is going to be set by the manufacturer of the pump, and it's going to be an appropriate voltage. Something to keep in mind is a lower voltage pump is safer for you. So if you're scared of like the voltage thing, get one that's lower. And just know that if you get a pump that's over 120 volt, you usually need an electrical permit from your township or your borough or wherever you live or your city. You're going to have to call them if it's 120 or more, because they're going to want to charge you for a permit to install it, and you're going to probably have to hire a professional to do an underground conduit and all that stuff. So anything lower than 120 you're okay. From 120 up, you're going to have to hire somebody and talk to your township or your borough or city or whatever. And then the wattage is another thing, and everyone's like thinks that the wattage is the most important thing, like, oh, this one's 120 watts and this one's 12 watts, and what's the difference? Well, the wattage is really just the energy use. So it's not very helpful in determining which size pump you need and like what pump is right for you as far as like pumping the water and getting the water to the where you need it. Wattage doesn't really matter, and it's not a comparable measurement. A solar pump will probably have like 12 watts, where the electric equivalent would have 120 because more power with the electrical. If you're curious about that, I actually have a cool calculator on my website. You can calculate how much it's actually going to cost you to run the pump. Spoiler alert, it's not that much. For a small fountain, you're talking like probably 20 bucks a year. It's not that much, but I'll leave a link anyway if you're curious with stuff like that. So yeah, the wattage and the voltage, not a big deal. There's another measurement you might see on there that I just want to cover quickly. There's a max lift as well, so don't get them confused. So the head is the one we talked about earlier. The lift is pretty much the same thing, except it's a measurement from the actual pump itself vertically up to where the water's coming out here. So instead of from the top of the water level, the lift is from the pump, how far it has to lift up. So I guess it's sort of important if you have a big pond and it's 10 feet or 12 feet deep, that max lift is something you're going to want to pay attention to too. Pay attention to the GPH, pay attention to the max head, and pay attention to the cord length, and you should be okay. So I hope that helps you to decide which pump is right for you. If you're curious about the differences between electric and solar, I'll leave a link. You could click on the video right there, and I'll see you over there where I'm doing like an actual real deal comparison in a basin, getting soaking wet, trying to compare these two different pumps together. So check that one out too, and I'll see you over there.